Maya never imagined her life would change while carrying a stack of fresh towels down a hotel hallway. But that's exactly what happened on an ordinary Thursday night that turned out to be anything but ordinary. She was 23 years old and had been working at the Grandview Hotel for almost 2 years. It wasn't a fancy place, not one of those five-star hotels where celebrities usually stayed. It was decent, clean, and affordable. Most guests were business travelers or families on vacation. Maya didn't mind the work. She needed every paycheck to help her younger brother get through college. And the evening shift paid a little extra. The hotel sat in downtown Los Angeles, surrounded by the constant hum of traffic and the glow of city lights. Maya had grown up just 20 minutes away in a small apartment she still shared with her brother. Their parents had passed away in a car accident when she was 19, and suddenly she became both sister and guardian. College plans disappeared overnight. Dreams of studying music got packed away with her childhood belongings. Life had other plans for her, and she accepted them without complaint. On that particular Thursday, Maya clocked in at 3 in the afternoon like always. She tied her dark hair back, put on her name tag, and grabbed her cleaning cart. The first few hours passed in their usual rhythm. She restocked minibars, changed bed sheets, scrubbed bathrooms until they sparkled, and made sure every room met hotel standards. She was good at her job, efficient and thorough. Guests rarely saw her, which was exactly how she preferred it. Around 7 in the evening, everything changed. The hotel manager came rushing through the staff area, looking more stressed than Maya had ever seen him. He gathered everyone for a quick meeting. A concert venue across town had flooded because of a burst pipe. Some kind of big event was canceled at the last minute. Now, a famous singer and her entire team needed rooms immediately, and they were coming to the Grandview. The staff exchanged nervous glances. Famous people didn't stay at places like this? But apparently, every upscale hotel in the area was fully booked because of some convention. The manager told them to prepare the entire top floor and to be on their absolute best behavior. He didn't say who was coming, just that she was extremely well known and they needed to make everything perfect. Maya was assigned to the penthouse level along with 2 other housekeepers. They rushed upstairs and started preparing rooms at record speed. Fresh sheets, extra towels, bottles of water in every room, flowers in the suites. The manager kept checking on them, making sure every detail was right. Maya had never seen him so anxious. About an hour later, the lobby erupted in controlled chaos. Maya heard it from upstairs: voices, footsteps, the sound of luggage wheels on marble floors. Security guards appeared on the penthouse level first, checking rooms and posting themselves at key positions. Then came assistants with clipboards and cell phones, speaking in rapid voices about schedules and arrangements. Finally, she arrived. Sienna Cross. Even Maya, who barely followed celebrity news, knew that name. Sienna was everywhere on the radio, in movies, performing at award shows. She had millions of followers and had won more music awards than Maya could count. And now she was here, walking down the same hallway. Maya mopped every evening. Maya tried to make herself invisible, which wasn't hard. In her plain uniform with her cleaning cart, she might as well have been part of the furniture. She watched from a supply closet as Sienna walked past, surrounded by her team. The singer looked exhausted, her famous face drawn with stress. She wasn't smiling for cameras or signing autographs. She just looked like a tired woman who wanted to rest. Maya went back to work, finishing up the last few rooms. The hotel had settled into a strange quiet, everyone tiptoeing around, aware of their important guest. Around 9 o'clock, Maya was delivering extra towels to one of the penthouse suites when she passed by an open door. She didn't mean to eavesdrop. She was just walking past, arms full of towels, trying to do her job. But voices carried into the hallway, and she couldn't help but hear. Sienna sat on a velvet couch inside the suite, her head in her hands. A man in an expensive suit, probably her manager, paced back and forth, talking urgently into his phone. Maya slowed down without meaning to, catching fragments of the conversation. "Laryngitis," the manager was saying. "Complete vocal rest," the doctor said. "She can't perform tomorrow." He paused, listening to whoever was on the other end. I know how important the charity gala is. I know, but what am I supposed to do? We don't have a backup singer, and Sienna's duet is the highlight of the evening. Sienna looked up, and for just a moment her eyes met Maya's through the doorway. Maya's heart jumped. She quickly looked away and continued down the hall, her face burning. She shouldn't have been listening. She shouldn't have made eye contact with one of the biggest stars in the world, but as she put the towels away and finished her shift, Maya couldn't stop thinking about what she'd heard. A charity gala. A sick backup singer. A performance that might have to be canceled. She knew what those charity events meant. They raised millions of dollars for important causes. If Sienna couldn't perform, a lot of people might suffer for it. Maya had sung herself once. Not professionally, but she'd been good. Really good, according to her choir director. She'd performed solos in church, won competitions in high school, dreamed of studying music in college. Her mother used to say she had a gift, something special that shouldn't be wasted. But after the accident, there was no time for gifts or dreams. There was only work and bills, and making sure her brother had opportunities she no longer could. She still sang sometimes, though. In the shower, in her car, late at night when her brother was asleep and the apartment was quiet. Music was the one thing she hadn't been able to give up completely. It lived in her bones, in her breath, in the way her heart beat. Pushing it down didn't make it disappear. It just made it wake. As Maya clocked out that night and walked to her car, she hummed softly to herself. It was an old hymn her mother had loved, one she'd sung at the funeral. The melody drifted through the parking garage, bouncing off concrete walls. She didn't know that someone was listening. She didn't know that her small moment of private music would reach the exact right ears at the exact right time. She drove home through the bright Los Angeles night, thinking about celebrity problems and charity galas, about backup singers with laryngitis and performances that might not happen. She thought about her own voice, locked away like a treasure she'd never get to spend. She thought about how strange life was, how the rich and famous had troubles too, just different kinds. Maya had no idea that tomorrow morning everything would change. She had no idea that her invisible life was about to become very, very visible. She had no idea that one powerful woman had already made a decision that would turn a hotel housekeeper into something she'd never dared to dream she could be, but that was tomorrow's story. Tonight she was just tired, ready for sleep, humming her mother's favorite song as city lights blurred past her car windows. Maya woke up the next morning to her phone buzzing. She reached for it grudgingly, squinting at the screen. It was her manager from the hotel. Her heart sank. Calls this early usually meant someone had called in sick and she'd need to cover their shift. "Maya, I need you to come in early today," he said, his voice tight with stress. "We have a situation." She sat up in bed, fully awake now. "What kind of situation?" "Just get here as soon as you can. Report directly to the penthouse floor. And Maya, wear your cleanest uniform. This is important." The call ended before she could ask any questions. She stared at her phone, confused and a little worried. In 2 years of working at the Grandview, she'd never been called in like this. Whatever was happening upstairs with the famous guest, it apparently involved her now. 40 minutes later, Maya stepped off the elevator onto the penthouse floor. Her stomach was doing nervous flips. 2 security guards stood in the hallway, and they actually checked her ID before letting her pass. She'd never seen security this tight at the hotel before. One of the assistants from last night met her near the main suite. The woman looked like she hadn't slept, her makeup from yesterday smudged under her eyes. "You're Maya? Come with me. And please don't be nervous. Just be yourself." That advice made Maya even more nervous. Be herself? What did that mean? The assistant knocked on the suite door, then opened it without waiting for an answer. The room was beautiful, much nicer than anywhere Maya had ever been. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the Los Angeles skyline in the morning light. But Maya barely noticed the view. Her eyes went straight to Sienna Cross, who stood by those windows, holding a cup of coffee. The singer looked different in daylight. Still beautiful, but tired. More human somehow. She wore simple clothes, jeans and a sweater, her famous face free of makeup. When she turned to look at Maya, there was something in her expression that Maya couldn't quite read. "You're the girl from last night," Sienna said. It wasn't a question. Maya's mouth went dry. "I'm sorry if I was in the way. I was just delivering towels and I didn't mean to." "You were humming," Sienna interrupted. "In the hallway. You probably didn't even realize you were doing it." Maya felt heat creep up her neck. She had been humming. She did it without thinking sometimes, especially when she was tired. It was a habit she'd never been able to break. Sienna's manager stepped forward. He was the same man from last night, though he looked even more stressed now. "We have a problem," he said bluntly. "Our backup singer has severe laryngitis. The doctor says she can't sing for at least a week. We have a charity gala tonight that's supposed to raise money for children's hospitals. Sienna's performance is the main event." Maya nodded slowly, not understanding why they were telling her this. "That's terrible. I'm sorry." "The thing is," Sienna said, setting down her coffee cup and walking closer, "I have very good ears. I've been singing professionally since I was 15. I've worked with the best vocalists in the world. And last night, when you were humming in the hallway, I heard something." Maya's heart started pounding. She wanted to back toward the door, to escape whatever was about to happen. "I heard real talent," Sienna continued. "Raw, untrained maybe, but genuine. The kind of voice you can't fake or manufacture." The manager pulled out a chair. "Sit down, Maya. We want you to audition for us." The room tilted. Maya actually grabbed the back of the chair to steady herself. "Audition? For what?" "To be my backup singer tonight," Sienna said calmly, like she was asking Maya to pass the salt. "To perform with me at the gala in front of 800 people and live cameras." Maya's laugh came out shaky and a little wild. "You're joking? You have to be joking. I clean hotel rooms. I'm not a singer." "But you were once," Sienna said. "I can tell. Nobody hums like that unless music is part of their soul." And that's when it hit Maya, this woman she'd never met somehow saw right through her. Saw past the uniform and the cleaning cart and the 2 years of pretending she was fine with how her life had turned out. "I sang in church," Maya admitted quietly. "And in school. But that was a long time ago. I'm not trained. I've never performed professionally." "I'm not asking you," Sienna said, and her voice had changed now. It was firm, almost commanding. "I'm telling you. You're going to sing for me right now. One song. If you're terrible, you'll go back to work and we'll never mention this again. But if you're as good as I think you are, you're performing with me tonight." Maya wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at her to make up an excuse and get out of that room. But something else was happening inside her, something she'd buried 2 years ago. That old part of herself that had dreamed of stages and spotlights and sharing her voice with the world, it was waking up. And it was terrified and excited in equal measure. The assistant set up a small portable speaker in the corner. The manager pulled out his phone, ready to record. Sienna sat down on the couch, her full attention on Maya. "Sing anything," Sienna said. "Whatever feels natural to you." Maya's hands were shaking. Her mind went completely blank for a moment. Then, almost without deciding to, she thought of her mother's funeral. She thought of standing in that church, barely 19 years old, singing because her mother had always said music was how their family expressed what words couldn't. She'd sung Ave Maria that day, in Latin, the way her mother had taught her. Her voice had been the only sound in that packed church, carrying grief and love and goodbye in every note. "Ave Maria," Maya said softly. "I'll sing that." Sienna nodded. "Whenever you're ready." Maya closed her eyes. She couldn't look at them, couldn't think about who was listening or what this might mean. She just thought about her mother, about the funeral, about the feeling of music pouring out of her. When nothing else could express the pain, she took a breath and began to sing. The first words came out quietly, tentatively. But muscle memory took over. Her voice knew this song the way her heart knew how to beat. As she moved into the second phrase, something shifted. The hotel suite disappeared. The watching people disappeared. There was only the music, and it poured out of her like water from a broken dam. Her voice filled the room with a purity that surprised even her. It had been so long since she'd really sung, really let herself go. But it was still there, that gift her mother had recognized. Stronger somehow, deepened by loss and time and all the emotions she'd kept locked away while working and surviving. When she reached the climax of the song, Maya's voice soared effortlessly to the high notes. She'd forgotten how good it felt, how right. How this was the one thing in her life that had always made sense. The final note hung in the air, then faded to silence. Maya opened her eyes. The assistant's phone had fallen to the floor. The manager stood frozen, his mouth slightly open. And Sienna Cross, one of the most famous singers in the world, had tears streaming down her face. Nobody spoke for what felt like forever. Then, Sienna stood up and walked to Maya. She took both of Maya's hands in hers. "Where did you train?" she whispered. "Nowhere," Maya said. "Just church." "Just life?" Sienna let out a breath that was half laugh, half sob. "You have absolutely no idea what you have, do you?" "No idea at all." The manager found his voice. "We need to make calls. Now, we need a contract, a rehearsal space, a vocal coach, a stylist." "Wait," Maya interrupted. Wait. What's happening?" "I don't understand what's happening." Sienna smiled, and it was the first real smile Maya had seen from her. "What's happening is you're performing with me tonight. What's happening is your life just changed. What's happening is the world is about to discover what I just discovered." Maya felt like she was in a dream. Or maybe she was still in bed, and her manager's phone call had never actually happened. But Sienna's hands were warm and real in hers. The morning light through the windows was real. The fear and excitement racing through her chest was very, very real. "I have 6 hours to teach you the duet," Sienna said. "We don't have time for you to doubt yourself. We only have time for you to be brave. Can you do that?" Maya thought about her brother, who was probably eating breakfast right now, getting ready for his college classes. Classes she was paying for by cleaning hotel rooms. She thought about her mother, who'd always said Maya's voice was a gift meant to be shared. She thought about the girl she used to be before life got hard. The girl who wasn't afraid of stages or dreams. "Yes," Maya heard herself say, "I can be brave." The next 6 hours passed like a fever dream. Maya couldn't wake up from. First came the paperwork. A lawyer appeared with contracts that Maya barely understood. Words like performance agreement and liability waiver swam before her eyes. Sienna's manager kept telling her not to worry, that this was all standard, but Maya's hands shook as she signed her name. What was she doing? Just this morning she'd been planning to clean bathrooms and restock minibars. Then came the rehearsal. Sienna had commandeered one of the hotel's conference rooms and turned it into a makeshift studio. A sound system appeared from somewhere, along with microphones and music stands. Maya stood in the middle of it all, feeling completely out of place. "The song is Bridge Over Troubled Water," Sienna explained, pulling up the sheet music on a tablet. "It's a classic. The arrangement is a duet with harmonies in the chorus. I'll take the first verse, you take the second, and then we blend for the finale." Maya knew the song. Everyone knew that song. But knowing it and performing it in front of hundreds of people were two completely different things. "Let's just run through it once," Sienna said gently. She must have seen the panic in Maya's eyes. "No pressure. Just so you can hear how it flows." The music started. Sienna's voice was everything you'd expect from a professional, polished, controlled, beautiful. She made it look effortless. When it was Maya's turn, her voice came out shaky at first. She stumbled over a phrase, lost her place, felt her confidence crumbling. Stop, Sienna said, holding up a hand. The music cut off. Maya wanted to disappear into the floor, but Sienna wasn't angry. She walked over and stood directly in front of Maya. "Look at me. What are you afraid of?" "Everything," Maya admitted. "I'm afraid I'll forget the words. I'm afraid I'll sound terrible. I'm afraid I'll embarrass you in front of all those people." "You know what I heard when you just sang?" Sienna asked. I heard someone trying to sound like me, like a professional, like what you think a singer should sound like. She paused. That's not why I chose you. Maya blinked. I don't understand. I chose you because of what I heard in the hallway last night. And again this morning with Ave Maria, you weren't trying to be anything. You were just being yourself? That's what made it special. Sienna squeezed her shoulder. I don't need you to be perfect, Maya. I need you to be real. They ran it again. This time, Maya tried to forget about technique and training and doing it right. She just sang the way she sang in her car, in her apartment, in those private moments when no one was listening. And something shifted. The notes came easier. The emotion felt genuine. There, Sienna said, smiling. That's it. That's the voice. They practiced for 3 more hours. Maya's throat started to hurt, but Sienna kept encouraging her, adjusting harmonies, showing her where to breathe. Slowly, the duet started to come together. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was honest. And when their voices blended in the final chorus, even Maya could hear that something special was happening. Around 2 in the afternoon, a team of stylists arrived. Maya was whisked away to another room where women with measuring tapes and fabric swatches descended on her like a swarm. They talked over her head about cuts and colors and what would work with her skin tone. I've never worn anything fancy, Maya said nervously as they held up dress after dress. Well, tonight you will, one of the stylists said with a kind smile. Trust us. We're going to make you look incredible. The dress they chose was emerald green, simple but elegant. When Maya put it on and looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. The girl looking back seemed confident, sophisticated, like someone who belonged on a stage, but underneath the dress, her heart was hammering. This was really happening. In just a few hours, she'd be standing in front of hundreds of wealthy, important people. People who came to see Sienna Cross. Not some random hotel worker. At 4 o'clock, Maya called her brother. She'd been putting it off because she didn't know how to explain any of this. You're doing what tonight? He asked, his voice rising in disbelief. I'm performing. With Sienna Cross at a charity gala? Silence. Then, Maya, are you feeling okay? Did you hit your head or something? She laughed, and it felt good to laugh. I know it sounds crazy. It is crazy. But it's real. It's actually happening. How? Her brother sounded completely lost. I sang for her. She heard me singing and she asked me to perform with her because her backup singer got sick. Maya sat down on the edge of the bed, the green dress pooling around her. I'm terrified. I don't know if I can do this. Are you kidding? Her brother's voice changed, became fierce with certainty. Maya, you're the best singer I've ever heard. You know that, right? Even better than the people on the radio. I've always thought that. Tears pricked her eyes. You have to say that. You're my brother. I don't have to say anything. It's the truth. Mom knew it too. She always said you were going to do something amazing with that voice. He paused. She'd be so proud of you right now. That broke something open in Maya's chest. She cried quietly, careful not to mess up her makeup. Her brother waited on the line, giving her space to feel it all. I wish she could be there tonight, Maya whispered. She will be, he said softly. Just like she was at the funeral when you sang. You carry her with you every time you open your mouth and let that voice out. By 6 o'clock, Maya was in a car heading to the Beverly Hills venue. Sienna sat beside her, scrolling through her phone, looking calm. Maya's hands wouldn't stop shaking. I think I'm going to be sick, Maya said. Sienna put down her phone. Want to know a secret? I still get nervous before every performance. Every single one. And I've been doing this for 15 years. Really? Really, the nerves mean you care. They mean it matters to you. Sienna looked out the window at the passing city. The day I stop getting nervous is the day I should probably quit. The venue was stunning. Red carpet, photographers, people in tuxedos and gowns that probably cost more than Maya made in a year. Security ushered them through a back entrance, away from the cameras. Maya had never been more grateful to avoid attention in her life. Backstage was controlled chaos. Sound technicians ran final checks. Other performers warmed up their voices. Someone handed Maya a bottle of water and told her not to drink too much or she'd need the bathroom during the show. Maya found a quiet corner and tried to breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth, just like Sienna had taught her during rehearsal. But her heart wouldn't slow down. Through a gap in the curtain, she could see the audience filing in. Designer dresses, expensive jewelry, faces she recognized from movies and television. These people came to be entertained by the best. What would they think when they saw her? At 7:15, an assistant with a headset found them. "You're on in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Maya felt the room spin. Sienna appeared at her elbow. "Come with me?" She led Maya to a small dressing room and closed the door behind them. The noise of the backstage area faded to a muffled hum. "Listen to me carefully," Sienna said. "In a few minutes, you're going to walk onto that stage. The lights will be bright. You probably won't be able to see the audience, which is actually a good thing. The music will start, I'll sing my part, and then it's your turn." Maya nodded, her throat too tight to speak. "When that moment comes, I want you to forget all of it. Forget the cameras. Forget the famous people in the audience. Forget that this is being streamed live to thousands of viewers." Sienna took both of Maya's hands. "I want you to sing for one person. Your mother. Pretend she's the only one listening. Can you do that?" Maya thought about her mother's face, the way she used to close her eyes when Maya sang, a small smile on her lips. The way she'd say, "That's my girl. That's my beautiful, talented girl." "I can do that," Maya said, and her voice was steadier than she expected. "Good," Sienna smiled. "Because the world is about to hear what I heard. And Maya, they're not going to believe their ears." The assistant knocked on the door. 5 minutes, Miss Cross." This was it. No more rehearsal. No more preparation. In 5 minutes, everything would change. Maya stood up, smoothed down her emerald dress, and followed Sienna toward the stage. Her legs felt strange, like they belonged to someone else. But she kept walking. Behind the curtain, she could hear the crowd settling into their seats. Someone was making announcements about the charity, about the children's hospitals they were supporting tonight. The cause was important. The money they raised would help kids who were sick, scared, alone. That thought steadied her. This wasn't about her. It wasn't about being perfect or impressive. It was about using her voice for something that mattered. The announcer's voice boomed through the sound system. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the incomparable Sienna Cross." The curtain began to rise. Applause thundered through the hall. Sienna looked at Maya one last time. "You ready?" Maya took a deep breath. She thought of her mother. She thought of her brother. She thought of the scared, grieving 19-year-old who'd put away her dreams to survive. "I'm ready," she said, and together they walked into the light. The spotlight hit Maya like a physical force. She'd expected it to be bright, but nothing could have prepared her for this. Pure white light that made everything beyond the stage disappear into darkness. She couldn't see the audience, couldn't see the cameras, couldn't see anything except Sienna standing a few feet away and the microphone in front of her. Her legs barely worked. Somehow she made it to her mark, that little piece of tape on the floor where she was supposed to stand. The applause was still going for Sienna, waves of sound washing over the stage. Maya's heart pounded so hard she was sure everyone could hear it. Sienna waved to the crowd, gracious and professional. She looked completely at ease, like she was born to stand in front of hundreds of people. Then she turned and gestured to Maya. "Before we begin," Sienna said into her microphone, her voice filling the huge hall, "I want to introduce someone very special. This is Maya. Until this morning, she worked at the hotel where I'm staying. But when I heard her sing, I knew I had to share her voice with all of you tonight." The audience murmured with interest. Maya felt her face burning. She wanted to run off the stage, but her feet seemed rooted to that spot. "She's going to perform with me now," Sienna continued. "And I promise you, you've never heard anything quite like this." The lights dimmed slightly. The murmuring faded. In the sudden quiet, Maya could hear her own breathing, fast and shallow. The first notes of the piano filled the hall. Soft, gentle, building slowly. Maya recognized the introduction to Bridge Over Troubled Water. They'd practiced this dozens of times in the past few hours, but suddenly her mind went blank. What were the words? When was she supposed to come in? Then Sienna began to sing. Her voice was beautiful, smooth as silk. She sang the first verse with perfect control, every note exactly where it should be. The audience was completely silent, transfixed. This was why people paid hundreds of dollars for tickets. This was what a professional sounded like. The verse ended. The music shifted, building toward the second verse, Maya's verse. This was it. This was the moment. She opened her mouth and absolutely nothing came out. Panic seized her. The music kept going. She was supposed to be singing. Right now? But her throat had closed up completely. Sienna glanced over, her eyes calm and reassuring. She mouthed something that looked like breathe. Maya sucked in air. She thought of what Sienna had said backstage. Forget the audience. Forget the cameras. Sing for her mother. She closed her eyes, and she began to sing. The first word came out quietly, almost a whisper. But the microphone caught it, sent it out into the hall. The second phrase was stronger. By the third line, muscle memory took over and Maya stopped thinking entirely. She sang the way she'd sung that morning. The way she'd sung at the funeral. Not trying to be perfect or professional or anything other than honest. The words poured out of her, carrying emotion she didn't even know she had. When her voice rose to the chorus, something extraordinary happened. The natural power in her voice, the raw talent that Sienna had recognized, came flooding out. Notes that would have strained most singers came easily to Maya. Her voice soared higher, richer. Fuller than it had even in rehearsal, she opened her eyes and saw Sienna staring at her with an expression of pure joy. Then they sang together, their voices wove around each other like they'd been doing this for years. Sienna's professional training and Maya's natural gift created harmonies that seemed to lift off the stage and fill every corner of that massive hall. The music swelled beneath them, and they wrote it together. Two very different voices becoming one perfect sound. Maya forgot about being nervous. She forgot about the audience. There was only the music and the feeling of her voice blending with Sienna's, creating something neither of them could make alone. The song built toward its climax. This was the part they'd practiced over and over, where both voices pushed to their limits. Maya let go completely, sending her voice higher than she'd ever pushed it before. The note rang out clear and pure and impossibly beautiful. She heard someone in the audience gasp. Then they were in the final verse, bringing it back down, letting the emotion speak softer but no less powerful. Sienna sang a line, Maya answered it. Back and forth like a conversation, like two people sharing one heart. The last note hung in the air, then faded to silence for 3 seconds, maybe 4. Nobody made a sound. Maya's eyes adjusted enough to see some of the audience now. People were standing. Not just a few people, everyone. The entire hall rose to their feet as one. Then the applause started. It didn't build gradually. It exploded. Thunderous, overwhelming, wave after wave of sound. People weren't just clapping. They were cheering, shouting, some of them crying. Maya saw phones held high, everyone recording this moment. She stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. Sienna grabbed her hand and raised both their arms together, taking a bow. The applause somehow got even louder. Smile, Sienna whispered, still waving to the crowd. This is your moment. Maya tried to smile, but tears were streaming down her face. She couldn't stop them. Everything she'd held inside for 2 years, all the grief and sacrifice and dreams she'd buried, came pouring out. She was crying in front of hundreds of people, and she didn't even care. The applause continued for so long that the event organizer finally had to come on stage and gesture for quiet. Even then, people kept clapping as Maya and Sienna walked off stage. The moment they were in the wings, away from the lights and cameras, Maya's legs gave out. She grabbed a piece of equipment to steady herself. I can't believe that just happened, she gasped. Did that really just happen? Sienna was glowing, practically bouncing with excitement. Maya, that was incredible. Better than rehearsal. Better than I even imagined. She pulled out her phone. Look at this. She showed Maya her social media. Videos of their performance were already being posted. Hundreds of them, thousands, comments flooding in from people watching the live stream. The views were climbing so fast the numbers seemed to blur. The best voice I've ever heard, one comment read. Who is this girl? Asked another. I'm literally crying, said a third. Maya's hands shook as she scrolled through them. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be about her. An assistant rushed over with water bottles. That was amazing. The producers are going crazy. Everyone's talking about you. More people crowded around. Other performers, event staff, people Maya didn't recognize. All of them wanting to meet her, to congratulate her, to get a photo. She felt overwhelmed, dizzy with it all. Sienna put a protective arm around her shoulders. Give her some space, everyone. It's been a big night. She guided Maya to a quiet corner backstage, away from the chaos. They sat down on a road case, and for a moment neither of them spoke. You know your life just changed, right? Sienna said finally. Like, completely changed? You understand that? Maya shook her head. I don't understand any of this. By tomorrow morning, everyone will know your name, your voice. Record labels are probably already trying to figure out how to contact you. Sienna looked at her seriously. This is what I do. I know how this works. You're about to become famous. The word felt impossible. Famous. People like Sienna were famous. Not hotel housekeepers from Los Angeles. I don't want to be famous, Maya said quietly. I just wanted to sing. I know. And that's exactly why it worked. Sienna squeezed her hand. You weren't trying to be a star. You were just trying to be honest. That's what people heard. That's what moved them. Maya's phone started buzzing. Then buzzing more. Then it basically didn't stop. She pulled it out and stared at the screen. Texts from her brother, from old friends she hadn't talked to in years, from numbers she didn't even recognize. Her social media notifications had exploded. My brother's freaking out, Maya said, reading his messages. He's watching online. He can't believe it. Call him, Sienna said. Go ahead. This moment belongs to both of you. Maya stepped away and called. Her brother picked up before the first ring finished. Maya! Oh my God, Maya. He was shouting, laughing, maybe crying. You were incredible. I knew you could do it, but everyone's talking about it. My whole dorm is going crazy. They can't believe you're my sister. She laughed through her tears. I was so scared. I almost couldn't do it. But you did. You did it. Mom would be so proud. I'm so proud. His voice cracked. You were right up there with one of the biggest stars in the world, and you were better. You were so much better. They talked for a few more minutes, both of them barely making sense, just sharing the impossible reality of what had just happened. When Maya hung up, she felt more grounded. This was real. This had really happened. Sienna was waiting patiently, still scrolling through her phone. Okay, so we need to talk about what comes next. I have some thoughts. What do you mean, what comes next? Maya, Sienna gave her a look. You can't just go back to cleaning hotel rooms after this. That's not how this works. You have a gift and the whole world just saw it. Now we figure out what you want to do with it. Maya sat back down, her mind reeling. What did she want? For 2 years, she'd wanted to survive, to pay bills, to get her brother through school. She'd stopped thinking about wants beyond that. I don't know, she admitted. That's okay. You don't have to know tonight. Sienna smiled. But Maya, I want to help you. Not as some business thing, because I genuinely believe you're special. And I don't want the music industry to chew you up and spit you out before you even understand what you have. Before Maya could respond, the event organizer appeared slightly frantic. Miss Cross, they want an encore. The crowd is chanting. They want you both to come back out. Sienna looked at Maya. You up for one more? Maya thought about the feeling of singing on that stage. The way the music had flowed through her. The way her voice had soared in that beautiful hall. The way it had felt to finally let herself be the singer she was always meant to be. She stood up, smoothed down her emerald dress, and smiled. Let's give them something too. Remember, Maya woke up the next morning to a world that had completely changed. Overnight, her phone had died sometime around 3 in the morning from the sheer volume of notifications. When she plugged it in and turned it on, it immediately started buzzing so violently she almost dropped it. Messages, emails, calls from numbers she didn't recognize. Her social media had exploded. The video of her performance had been shared millions of times. She sat on the edge of her bed in the small apartment she shared with her brother, still wearing the clothes she'd thrown on after getting home late last night. The emerald dress hung on her closet door. Looking like something from someone else's life, her brother knocked and peeked his head in. "You okay?" "I don't know," Maya said honestly. "This is insane. Look at this." She showed him her phone. He sat down next to her, scrolling through the comments and shares. "Maya-chun," he read from one article. "The hotel housekeeper with the voice of an angel who stunned the world." He looked at her. "They're calling you a overnight sensation." "I don't feel like a sensation. I feel like I'm going to throw up." The reality of what had happened was sinking in. She was supposed to work her shift at the hotel today. But how could she go back to cleaning rooms when millions of people had watched her sing with Sienna Cross? When record labels were apparently trying to find her contact information? When her life had somehow turned completely upside down in less than 24 hours? Her phone rang. An unknown number, but with a Los Angeles area code. Maya almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Maya?" "It's Sienna." Maya sat up straighter. "Hi, I didn't expect to hear from you so soon. Are you seeing what's happening online?" Sienna asked. "It's bigger than I thought it would be." "Way bigger. I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've never seen anything blow up quite like this." "I don't know what to do," Maya admitted. "I'm supposed to work today, but I don't know if I should go in or call off or quit or what." "Don't quit yet," Sienna said firmly. "I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to trust me. Can you come to my studio this afternoon? Just you and me. No cameras, no pressure. We need to talk about your future." 3 hours later, Maya was sitting in Sienna's private recording studio in the hills above Los Angeles. It was beautiful, all natural light and expensive equipment, the kind of place Maya had only seen in movies. Sienna was already there, looking more relaxed than she had at the gala, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. "Coffee?" she offered, gesturing to a professional espresso machine in the corner. "Please," Maya said. "I barely slept." They sat in comfortable chairs by a window overlooking the city. For a few minutes, they just drank their coffee in silence. It felt strange, but also nice, like they were just two normal people instead of a superstar and a viral sensation. "I want to tell you something," Sienna said finally, "and I need you to really hear me. What you have, that voice, that natural talent, it's incredibly rare. I've worked with hundreds of singers, professionals who've trained their whole lives, and you're better than most of them." Maya started to protest, but Sienna held up a hand. "I'm not saying that to flatter you. I'm saying it because it's true. But here's the thing about this industry. It eats people alive, especially people who come in unprepared." She leaned forward. "You could sign with a label tomorrow. They'd throw money at you, promise you the world, and in 2 years you'd be burnt out, in debt, and wishing you'd never sung a single note." Maya felt a chill. "So what should I do?" "You should let me help you. Not as your manager or your label. As your mentor." Sienna smiled. "I want to teach you how to navigate this world without losing yourself in it. How to protect your voice, your art, your sanity, and most importantly, how to do this on your own terms." "Why would you do that for me?" "Because nobody did it for me," Sienna said quietly. "I was 15 when I got famous. I made every mistake you can make. I let people control my image, my music, my life. It took me years to take it back. She met Maya's eyes. I don't want that to happen to you. Maya felt tears prickling. This woman barely knew her, yet she was offering something more valuable than any record contract. But there's something you need to understand, Sienna continued. This journey, if you choose to take it, won't be easy. Fame isn't glamorous. It's exhausting and invasive and sometimes cruel. You'll lose your privacy. People will criticize everything you do, and some days you'll wish you could go back to being invisible. Is it worth it? May I ask? Sienna thought for a long moment. That depends on what you value. For me, it's worth it because I love making music. I love connecting with people through my voice. That part never gets old. She paused. But the rest of it? The fame, the money, the attention? That's just the price you pay for the privilege of doing what you love. They talked for hours. About the music industry, about protecting herself legally and financially, about the importance of staying grounded. Sienna shared stories from her own career, the good and the terrible. She didn't sugarcoat anything. I have one condition, Maya said finally. My brother. He's in college. I've been supporting him. Whatever I do, I need to be able to keep doing that. Of course, Sienna said. That's non-negotiable. In fact, that's exactly the kind of priority that will keep you sane in this business. The people who make it long-term are the ones who remember what really matters. Over the next few weeks, Maya's life transformed in ways she never could have imagined. Sienna introduced her to a lawyer who specialized in protecting young artists. Together, they reviewed offers from record labels, and there were many. Some were generous. Others were predatory. Maya learned to tell the difference. She didn't sign with anyone right away. Instead, she started working with a vocal coach Sienna recommended, properly training her voice for the first time. She learned breathing techniques, how to protect her vocal cords, how to perform night after night without damaging her instrument. The media attention was intense. Reporters wanted her story. Morning shows wanted interviews. But Sienna advised her to be selective to maintain some mystery. You don't owe everyone everything, she said. Save some of yourself for yourself. Maya did do one interview, though. A music journalist asked her about the moment on stage, what it felt like to go from cleaning hotel rooms to performing in front of thousands. It felt like coming home, Maya said. I'd spent 2 years pretending I was okay with giving up my dreams. But you can't kill something that's part of your soul. You can only bury it. And when I stepped on that stage, everything I'd buried came back to life. The interview went viral too. People connected with her honesty, her humility, the fact that she still seemed like a real person despite the sudden fame. 3 months after the gala, Maya released her first single. Not a pop song designed by a committee to climb the charts. A ballad she'd written herself, sitting at the small keyboard in her apartment late one night. It was about her mother, about loss, about finding your voice when life tries to silence you. The song was called Still Here. And it topped charts around the world, but the success that meant the most to Maya happened on a Tuesday afternoon. She video called her brother from the studio. He was in his dorm room, books spread across his desk. Hey, she said. How are your classes going? Really good. I think I'm actually going to ace my chemistry exam tomorrow. He grinned. How's the whole being famous thing? Weird, but good weird mostly. She paused. I wanted to tell you something. I just signed my record contract. The advance came through? That's amazing. And I already talked to your university's financial aid office. Your tuition is paid. All 4 years, plus housing. You don't have to work or take out loans or worry about any of it. Her brother's face went still. Maya, that's too much. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You supported me when I thought I'd never sing again. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. This is what family does. They both cried a little after that. The good kind of crying, the kind that comes from gratitude and love and knowing you're not alone in the world. 6 months after that night at the gala, Maya returned to the Grandview Hotel, not to work but to visit. She found the night manager who'd called her that fateful morning and thanked him. She met with her former coworkers, many of whom had become friends during her time there. "We always knew you were special," one of them said. "We just didn't know how special." Maya also went back to the penthouse floor, to the hallway where she'd been humming that night. She stood in the same spot and thought about the girl she'd been then. Tired, resigned, convinced her dreams were over, she thought about Sienna, who'd heard something in that humming and refused to let it go to waste. About the chance she'd been given and the courage it took to accept it. About how quickly life can change when you're brave enough to step into the spotlight these days. Maya split her time between recording, performing, and helping other young artists navigate the industry. She'd started a foundation that gave scholarships to talented kids who couldn't afford music education. Sienna sat on the board and helped Maya run it. They'd become real friends, not just mentor and student. Sometimes they'd meet at the studio just to sing together, no pressure, no cameras. Just two people who loved music sharing their voices. 1 year after the gala, Maya performed there again. Another charity event? Another chance to raise money for children's hospitals? But this time, she was the headliner. Sienna came as her special guest. Before they went on stage, Sienna hugged her. "Nervous?" "Always," Maya admitted. "You were right about that. The nerves never really go away." "Good, that means you still care." Sienna smiled. "Ready to show them what you've got?" Maya thought about how far she'd come. About the hotel housekeeper who'd been afraid to sing in front of anyone. About the voice that had been buried but never truly silenced. About the simple act of humming in a hallway that had changed everything. "I'm ready," she said, and she was. Not because she'd become fearless or perfect or invincible, but because she'd learned that your voice, your real, authentic voice, is the most powerful thing you possess. And when you're brave enough to let it out, you never know whose life it might change. Maybe even your own.